What's going on, movie fans? My name is Michael Weer. I love talking about movies, and I am down here in my movie theater room, once again joined by E. What's up?
Hey.
And we are down here for another movie night. Very excited about this one, but I don't know exactly what movie we're going to be watching. Now, you clicked on this video, you already saw the title. For you, you already know what we're about to watch, but I don't know because I am leaving that pick up to E tonight. We whittled it down to 3. We have the film Argo, which Ben Affleck won Best Director for. We have the film Reservoir Dogs, which is Quentin Tarantino's first film. And we have the movie Sleepers, which is a great courtroom drama film. Now, of these 3 movies, I have seen them all, but E, you haven't seen any of them.
No, I have not.
And I am leaving the pick up to you. So of these 3 films, I'll hand them to you. Which one are we watching for our second movie night of 2026?
Okay, here's my thought process. I've thought long and hard about this.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, I love Ben Affleck so much, but he is not my favorite Affleck brother. So, and John Goodman, fantastic. Bryan Cranston, it's gonna be good.
It's got a stacked cast.
But if I'm gonna go in Affleck tonight, I'd rather it be Casey Affleck. So I'm gonna take this one out.
Okay, so it is not Argo. Right. I'm learning this in real time, guys. All right.
Well, how do you say that word?
Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs. There you go.
Reservoir Dogs. I did take runtime into consideration for this too because I'm very sleepy.
It's also
and this
fair.
one is the shortest. However, I am mad at Quentin Tarantino right now.
Is it because of the Matthew Lillard comments?
100%. So I'm going to say no.
Okay, so no Tarantino, which means you have selected
Sleepers. Yes, but I'm a little concerned because Kevin Bacon.
Oh, he's the worst character in this, too. You're going to hate his character in this. Yeah, you're going to hate Kevin Bacon even more, but he plays a great sort of evil prison guard. But as it stands right now, we have our film, which is Sleepers, and we have our popcorn, we have some drinks, we have some snacks. It's time to do our second movie night of 2026, the February movie night, and it is Sleepers. Let's watch this movie.
4 friends raised in a legacy of crime, but when a childhood prank resulted in an accident.
The court hereby sentences you to no less than 1 year at the Wilkinson Home for Boys.
The punishment
You gotta have rules and you gotta have discipline.
was far more than they deserved. In a pact to avenge those who destroyed their innocence.
You still sleep with the light on? What do you say, Mike? It's payback time.
Sleepers, based on the controversial bestseller.
And so, guys, we have watched Sleepers, and I ate mostly all of the popcorn that I brought down here. Originally, I put the popcorn together because I wanted it to look cool for the video, and then, well, I got hungry, and so I ate the popcorn while we were watching the movie. But we watched Sleepers for our second movie night. I've got some positives and some negatives, but I'm going to kick it over to you first, E. What are your thoughts? This is your first time watching the movie. What you got for us?
Okay, I took notes.
All right, here we go. Notes.
First of all, the first thing I wrote was, why are we clacking at church girls?
Oh, yeah. So at the very beginning of the movie, the nuns click or clack, I guess, at the girls. I don't know if that was a thing back in the day or if that's something that currently goes on in the Catholic Church.
To let them know to sit and stand
when
and
to
kneel?
do what they need to do, yeah.
Why just the girls? I mean, I know during that time period why just the girls, but I don't appreciate it.
Maybe the girls didn't know when to sit and stand.
Maybe you.
It was a very funny. I will say this though, it was a really funny opening to the movie. Just watching those boys play pranks, or see who could do the best prank, and of course that leads to the tragic prank of the hot dog cart, which ends up almost killing a man and sending them down a path that they didn't expect to go down in life. So I thought that was a nice little kickoff to the movie.
I love the setting, 60s, 70s, my favorite time period to see depicted in entertainment format. And I feel it was well told, for as well told as such a depressing story could possibly be told. I still hate Kevin Bacon. This just made it worse.
Yeah, that's he's a good actor though, so it kind of.
No, You do it so much, like the nasty guy thing, that at some point I worry about who you are, actually. I have some questions. I wrote down that in real life, now this was based on a true story, I guess?
I don't know. At the end, they were like, hey, New York State denies any wrongdoing. Nothing was done wrong.
Yeah.
So maybe this is based off of someone's story that may or may not have been true.
So if it's based on a true story, I guess fine. It kind of puts a hole in this question or statement, I guess. But I just find it really unlikely. So they had the guard, one of the still living guards who were one of the abusers, get on the stand, and he started crying and admitted to wrongdoing and witnessing wrongdoing and blah, blah, blah. I just find it unlikely that would have happened.
Well, I guess my response to that would be that was the first time that guard or any of those guards were ever held accountable for what they did. And when you remove them from that situation, none of them were guards anymore, especially that guy. And when you remove them from that situation and then surprise attack, because he realized in that moment that the two people that were on trial for murder were two of the boys that he and the other guards had attacked and molested and done horrible things to. So I think in that moment, he was kind of shocked because he didn't expect their faces. He also didn't expect them in that moment. So I don't necessarily see it as a flaw in the movie that he broke down in that moment, because in that moment, he was confronted with something over 20 years old, and it all just hit him in the face.
Well, I don't necessarily count it as a problem. I just find it highly unlikely that...
There are some conveniences. I could give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
There's some conveniences towards the end there where like they needed everything to fall in place, just like Robert De Niro's character having those stubs from that game. Maybe he really did go to that game, or maybe he found a way to get stubs from that game so that he could produce those in court to make himself not look like a liar, or maybe he truly wasn't a liar. Maybe as a priest, he was like, I can take the stand and do this because I was truly at the game. I do have 3 stubs. But there were conveniences along the way. I agree with you there. That would have been one of my negatives. Just all of this for this plan to work. And it's a great plan that they have to try and not only get revenge, but free themselves. There were some conveniences in the story.
Well, do I think he should admit to it? Yeah.
Well, sure.
But there's like one thing in the world I have no remorse for, and I feel it, and it's people who do that to kids. And I feel like they kind of gave him like a moment there.
Sure.
And I don't appreciate that. But that's neither here nor there. So that brings me to my next point, which is if Brad... this is spoiled already, right? Okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a million years old. Okay. Yeah. So if Brad Pitt was one of the boys and he was the attorney for the state against his friends, kind of, and he was throwing it so that they would win, right? Okay, what was the purpose in having the guard get up there and expose himself for being a piece of shit?
Well, to answer that, I would say they needed that guard in that spot to not only shine a bad light on himself, but mostly shine a bad light on Kevin Bacon's character, because they were able to then get the jury to go with a not guilty verdict. Yes, they had the priest in their back pocket hoping he would show up, but if he didn't, they needed that just to show this guy was a really bad person, sway the jury just a little bit. And then when the priest comes in, Robert De Niro's character comes in and sends it home with, no, those guys were with me. Well, now not only do they have the word of a priest that stands pretty tall in court, but they also have in the back of their head, because even though you tell the jury, and this is in a lot of courtroom movies where they'll be like, the jury, you didn't hear any of that just was said. Like, they're like, you can't say any of that.
Right.
Well, it's still said. It's still in the air. Like,
that always drives me insane.
If I say, hey, I'm going to tell you something, and then you're not going to think about that thing. Well, I told you it, so now it's in your head. Like Inception. But essentially, that's what they're doing in court.
Okay, no, I understand all that.
Okay, so that's
why they
needed
brought
him
him out here. I get why they wanted him to look bad, because he was a piece of shit. But then when Robert De Niro came in and did say, oh, no, those guys were with me, I just feel like... I'm confused. I guess my issue with it is I'm confused because they went through this whole thing where they were trying to make the guards look like bad people, and they were.
Right.
But then Robert De Niro comes out and he goes, "No, those guys were with me."
Well,
but
right.
so then that could have just.
That could have been enough, but if it wasn't enough. And also, this was about them getting justice, not just killing Kevin Bacon's character, but getting justice against all of them. Because as you saw, you had the one who... Kevin Bacon's character who died, so that's justice for him. And then you've got another character, the one on the stand, who basically outed himself as a predator.
We didn't see him get,
but the judge told him, hey, don't leave your house because there's going to be people that want to talk to you, implying that down the road that guy will be going to jail. And then one of the other predators from the prison, he ended up getting arrested at the end there. They showed him like ducking that guy's head into a car, explaining.
Well, another guy got shot too from that.
And then the other guy got shot because he was the one that killed Rizzo.
Yeah.
So all four of those guards that made their life hell and again changed the trajectory of their lives more so than it already was changed, all of them got justice. And so they needed all four of those in place. Again, I agree with you that it does become a bit convenient.
Well, maybe I'm phrasing my concern the wrong way.
Sure.
I think I understand. I understand all of it logically. It makes sense in my head.
Okay.
But if they had already now made this boy's juvenile detention center look like garbage because it was,
right,
and the guy admitted to, he's up there sobbing and saying he did participate, he did see men hurt the boys, blah blah blah, why did we then need Robert De Niro to come in and say, oh, he was they were at the game with me? Because at that point they're already on their side, right?
Yeah, and I would just say it's just nailing it home.
I guess they still would have been in some sort of trouble.
Well, because you still had two witnesses that took the stand that said that was them. Now, they were able to say one of those witnesses, she might have been a little drunk. She also said it was just a glance.
Yeah, they
the other guy
gaslit
was
the
like,
hell out of her.
I looked at them. I saw them. So they didn't really ever prove that guy wrong. But at that point, they didn't need to because not only were they going to then paint all of the guards in a horrible light, but then they were going to have Robert De Niro's character send it home.
It just felt to me like, no shit, Robert De Niro's lying because now what was the point in spending all that time making these guys look so bad?
I think it was just basically put as much doubt into the jury as possible, and as long as you have that doubt, that reasonable doubt, they're not going to get a guilty verdict, and ultimately they vote not guilty on all charges and they walk away when we know clear as day that they executed Kevin Bacon's character in front of multiple people, and they still found a way to get away with it. So that's the part of the story I really love, is that they're able to orchestrate it. Are there some conveniences? Yes. Do things have to fall into place perfectly? Yes, but that's part of the movie. That's part of the thing for us, the viewers, watching the movie, hoping, oh, I hope they get away with it, because you see the trauma that they had. But ultimately, they could bring in 1 million witnesses. It's the jury's decision, just like in real court. It always comes down to the jury's decision. So when they come up with a not guilty verdict, we know they're guilty. They know they're guilty. Pretty much everyone does. But on top of the allegations of the guards, now you have a priest who is highly respected, and so he sends it home for them. So I think that was 100% needed, and that's why they did that.
I guess I understand it. I do. I don't know how to articulate it any better than I'm articulating it. I understand it. I think it happened the way that it should have happened, but I feel like the jury, who have no skin in the game, seeing like, okay, yeah, this prison, they're pieces of shit, blah, blah, blah. These boys were treated really terribly. It would make sense as to why they might want to go after this person, right?
Right.
And then you have Robert De Niro come in and say, oh, they were with me at the game.
Exactly.
To me, as a jury member, wouldn't you think they would be like, well, that's convenient?
Well,
like,
all they have to do ultimately is convince one. You have a jury, but all they have to do is convince at least one. And it's kind of like 12 Angry Men, where as long as one person...
Well, but it has to be unanimous.
Well, it has to be unanimous if it's guilty. But if it's not guilty, you can have a hung jury. You can have a let's go to a second trial.
To be clear,
yeah,
I do think they should have been allowed to kill the guy in the street in front of everybody and should have been let go. But I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much.
No, I love your thoughts on it. No, I love your thoughts on it. I think you're seeing the conveniences in the plot, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think that the movie is a bit of a feel-good story, while it's also a horrific, tragic story that you have to watch.
None of that felt good.
Well, that brings me to my positives and some of my negatives. First positive I have for this movie, the acting, honestly, by the children actors in this movie who, again, you don't want to watch them be tortured and have these horrific things happen to them. But it kind of breaks my rule of most child actors are terrible. I thought all of them did a great job. They all went from these street kids having a good time, these New York accents, going around doing pranks in church, doing pranks on the sidewalk, opening up fire hydrants, and then you just see the light go out of their eyes. Sometimes, literally, you see just the way they look in the film, the way they portray these kids after these horrible things happen to them. And even then as adults, you can see like that tragedy behind their eyes. And to that point, when you're seeing that tragedy on their faces of both the kid actors and then the adult actors, once they're adults, they have conversations about being able to sleep with the lights on or off. And you had a good point about that as well.
They said that they, as adults, couldn't sleep with the lights off, or one of them couldn't sleep with the lights off still. They still had to sleep with the lights on. And one of them couldn't even close their eyes without like seeing a lot of the things that they had gone through. Couldn't have their backs to people after what they had gone through and stuff. I just think that's important piece to emphasize, like how traumatic it truly was.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I agree with you 100%. The way they were able to pull that trauma out of these actors, whether it was the kid actors going through it or the adult actors that were living with the aftermath, I thought they did a great job. I love that point. Then, of course, the adult actors, I mean, you've got Brad Pitt, you've got Robert De Niro, you've got Dustin Hoffman, several others as well that I'm not thinking of right now. Excellent actors, and they do such a good job. Dustin Hoffman almost steals the whole movie, in my opinion, because he plays this bumbling idiot lawyer who's not very good, basically told by the mob, you're going to defend these two and you're going to win the case. And if you don't win the case, you're getting a dirt nap. And so I think he does a great job as this guy who's being told, like, hey, you can't drink anything, you can't do any drugs, just go in there, do your job, read the script. And Dustin Hoffman does a great job. Every time he's up there, you are on the edge of your seat, like, don't screw this up. They've got a master plan. Don't screw it up. And I think he does a great job as well.
I guess it felt good that they got off because they should have gotten off, whether they were guilty or not. And then they died. The two of them died because they were involved in whatever they were involved in.
Yeah, they were gangsters. And I think that's where it comes down to, like, if this is something based on someone's real story, maybe we should research the movie next time. But if this is something based on someone's story they're giving, someone who said, this is a real story, I just changed the names to protect the innocent people. If this is based on a real story, what you essentially have is these are real life people. So we're not just watching a work of fiction with conveniences in the plot. This person who gave the story to the people who wrote the book, made the film, they're saying these things really did happen, and they wanted to put in there that even though they got off of this murder trial, they did die. It did become even more tragic after the fact. You're like, these guys then didn't get their life together. They went right back to gangsterness. Streets.
Well, and they tell you that at the beginning.
That's very true, too.
Two of them are
dead. Yeah, that's true. They do.
Whatever. And then there's a whole foreshadowing thing with Robert De Niro where one of his best friends was in prison for murder, and he's this pastor, and how could he possibly have a friend who committed murder, and blah, blah, blah. So, like, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It just
kind of throws one more punch in your face after watching these people go through such tragic things the entire movie.
It was feel good for like all of 3.5 seconds, and then they were dead. Two of them were dead, and then the other two guys never married, and just kind of lived alone. And I understand the trauma piece of it. I totally get it, and I understand how you could be involved in gang activity, and once you've lived through that kind of trauma and stuff, it did not feel good. I do not suggest watching it like, if you have sons, which I do, didn't love it for that reason.
Well, and I mean, I could say this. I mean, yeah, the on the negative side of the movie, while they did have to show you, they needed a reason for you to be invested in this story. I will say that one of my negatives for the movie is they get real graphic. They get real graphic with things. Thankfully, they don't show too much, but there are some moments they show that are really hard to get through. Whether it's physical abuse, mental abuse, so it's very hard to get through as a parent. So as you're saying, with our son or our daughters, like it is hard to get through. But that makes that victory at the end sweet. So I'd say on the negative side, like, they didn't necessarily have to show everything. They could have monologued some of that. On another negative, I would say this movie is 2.5 hours long. And I think you could have cut some of the child part of the movie out. Again, I say that, but then maybe if you'd done that, the impact of them winning the case at the end wouldn't have been there, wouldn't have been as sweet. So maybe not. But I do think they went a little far into the graphic nature of what happened to them. But maybe that was making you buy in. So I throw it in the negatives, but every time I watch this movie, I never watch the movie and I say, well, you know, I think I would take out half the movie. Like I wouldn't, because that sweet feeling at the end of them winning, of them getting justice finally, maybe wouldn't be there the entire time without that. But I agree. I don't need to see the abuse.
I don't need to see the abuse to like want them to win still. All you have to do is say, hey, these people were touched as kids.
Yeah.
Win the case. I'm happy with that.
Well, and they would flash back to it. So it wasn't just the first half of the movie with the kids. When they were in court, they would flash back to things that happened as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, not necessary and just added to that runtime. Same kind of goes for the end of the film. Like they won. They could have ended it several times. When they were getting a hot dog, they could have ended it. They could have ended it when they all got together and they had that one last night. But then they were like, and then this one died, and then this one died, and then this is what's going on with Brad Pitt's character, and this is what's going on with the girl that was helping them the entire time, who was also part of the friend group, but didn't go to prison. Like they just kind of kept going.
They insinuated that she had the main guy's baby, right?
They did insinuate that because she nicknamed him Shakes, but
which was his nickname.
Yeah, and she said that, and the monologue at the end was like, she's not married, but she raises her son alone, so. What happened to the main guy? I don't know. Did he die? I don't think they even mentioned what happened to him.
He was narrating at the entire time.
So he was just right. Maybe
never addressed himself, but Brad Pitt was like alone
That's
and
true.
never wed and never had kids, and the other two guys died, and then the girl like had a baby, called him Shakes, and she's a single mom.
Another positive, switching gears a little bit, that I want to get into for this movie is the way it was filmed in some scenes. There's a really cool scene. I mean, again, it's in the abuse area of the movie, so it's hard to get through. But there's a cool scene in a moment in this movie where one of the kids is in a cell, and they've told you that these kids are put in these cells with no food and no light. And so as a watchtower light beams through one of the bars of the window and it shoots on his hand, he sees the light on his hand, but then it's almost like a projector because he sees him and his friends playing with a fire hydrant or just enjoying their lives. And it's a really cool scene. Like I thought the way they filmed that was really cool. And to add on to that, I really liked how it looked for the 60s portion of this movie in the first half, and I loved how it looked on the 80s portion. Like it was the same area of New York, but they found a way to, age it 20 years, not just change the style from 60s to 70s, but like when you get to the head gangster, who I can't think of the name of him right now, but when you get to his place where he does his business, you can tell things are more run down. All of his people are a little older. I loved how they paid attention to detail on that. So the way things were filmed in this movie, some cool camera tricks that they did throughout, but then just aging up New York from the 60s to the 80s, that was done really well. I don't know if you caught any of that or if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I thought the hand scene was probably the most emotional moment because he was in that cell like beat the fuck up.
Yeah, because it was after the football game, yeah.
And in like isolation for who knows how long. He looked terrible. It was really disgusting. And the like staunch difference between like what he had now found himself into versus, a few months ago, he was this like little kid with his little friends playing in the fire hydrant water in the street. It was...
Yeah, it was a pretty impactful moment, and just the way they were able to do that with the camera work, where it was like the light on his hand almost became a projector. I thought that was so well done, very clever shot. Do you have anything else you want to add to your thoughts on Sleepers?
It was good, very depressing.
Yes.
Does not help Kevin Bacon's
fair.
reputation in my
That's
head.
fair. I'll say this for the movie. I've seen it once before, about 15 years ago or so, and I remembered it somewhat correctly. There were moments of the movie that
You
I
remember
thought
it
happened
violently differently.
Well, I'll say this. I thought it opened with them executing Kevin Bacon and then the trial starting and then them going back. But it doesn't open like that at all. The first half of this film is them as kids. But you don't even get to the trial till the second half of the film. So I remembered it wrong, but I still had a great time with this movie. It's not one that I can just pop on at any time.
No.
I can't just fall asleep to it.
I'm never watching that again.
I will say this. I won't swear off the movie, but it will be a movie that I feel like it'll be something I need to show somebody again, like this. Like I watched it 10 to 15 years ago, and now I'm watching it with you because I'm showing you for the first time. And the next time I watch this will probably be because I'm showing someone for the first time. It's tragic. It's horrific at times. The abuse is so much. But that sweet revenge that they get at the end, the ability for them to get revenge on the people that hurt their lives so terribly. It's a tragic story, but a very good one, a very well told story. I had a great time with it, as much as you can with a horrific story, and I had a great time doing movie night with you.
Yeah.
We also made a pizza while we were down here, and we enjoyed a pizza together. I ate some popcorn, and I had some Raisinets. So I'm kind of like ridiculously full right now.
I thought you were going to throw me under the bus.
No,
with
she also
my
had
snacks.
some gummy bears.
Don't do it.
And a donut.
Don't!
So we had a good time, though. It was a fun movie night. I'm looking forward to next month's movie night. I'm not going to say what it is, but
Do you know what it is?
I do know what it is. We've talked about it. It has to do with St. Patrick's Day, but that's all I'll say.
No.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
No.
She's going to do it. It's going to be
No.
great. Guys, this has
Absolutely
been
not.
Movie Night. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. It does help the video. It does help the channel. And once again, I'm using the wrong hand, so I'm just going to say it also helps me right here. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you next time. All right, guys, we got to the end of our second movie night in 2026. This, of course, is our February movie night, and we are really looking forward to dropping another movie night review in March, and then in every month going forward into 2026. Until that time, though, and I'm sorry, your face is going to be covered up at this point. I apologize.
Bye
But
now.
until that time, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got all of my previous movie nights right there, and I've got all of my 2026 movie reviews right there.